captured and thrown to the most deadliest alien red dragon human girl accepted H. Beginning, the captured girl. The corridors of the alien cruiser were narrow, jagged, and filled with a constant low hum of energy that rattled the bones. The girl, Ilarave, stumbled forward as rough. Clawed hands shoved her into a containment field. She had been captured on the frontier colony of Leora IV, a mining outpost that had recently gone dark after a string of raids. Her captors were the Zarkin, a reptilian war species known for their brutal ceremonies. They did not fight wars in the way humans, or even other alien species did. Instead, they staged spectacles, games of blood, pitting prisoners against creatures they worshipped as gods. And among their pantheon, one stood above all others, the Red Dragon of Karun, a beast that legends claimed had extinguished whole colonies in a single storm of fire. Ilara pressed her palms against the transparent field of her cell. Outside, alien guards with crimson-scaled armor hissed in their guttural tongue. She understood only fragments, but enough to know her fate. She had been chosen as sacrifice. Her heart thudded with equal parts fear and defiance. She was 24, a technician who had once believed she would spend her life repairing atmospheric processors. She had no combat training, no armor, no weapons, just her mind. Yet here she was, prepared to be offered to the most dreaded being in Zarkin culture. But what the Zarkin didn't know was that Ilara had a knack for survival. And beneath her terror, a seed of curiosity flickered. If the Red Dragon existed, not as myth, but as flesh and blood, then perhaps death would not be her only destiny. Middle, the arena and the dragon. The day of the ritual arrived. Ilara was dragged from her cell, her wrists bound in bands of alien alloy. A roaring crowd of Zarkin filled the great amphitheater, carved into the heart of their worship. They jeered, their forked tongues lashing, their voices like rolling thunder. The arena itself was a pit of scorched stone and fractured metal, etched with scars from battles long past. And then the gates opened. The Red Dragon entered. Ilara's breath caught. It was far larger than any nightmare her mind could have conjured. The dragon's scales burned like molten metal, crimson edged with obsidian black. Its eyes were suns, two molten spheres glowing with intelligence and hunger. Massive wings folded at its sides, scarred from battles against weapons no human could survive. Heat rippled off his body. Every breath carried sparks. The Zarkin chanted, beating their weapons against the walls. The dragon reared back its head and let out a roar that made the ship tremble. Ilara was thrown into the pit. She staggered, unarmed, the sand burning beneath her boots. The dragon's gaze fixed on her, and the world seemed to narrow to just those eyes, fiery, unyielding, yet curious. It sniffed, lowering its head until its massive snout was only meters away. The crowd screamed for blood. Ilara expected immediate death. Instead, the dragon waited. Her mind raced. She remembered an old principle she'd learned during her short military support training. Predators did not always kill immediately. They studied. They tested. And perhaps, if intelligent enough, they could be reasoned with. "I am not your enemy," she whispered, though the words felt absurd. "I am, like you, captured, used." The dragon blinked, a low rumble vibrating from deep in its chest. Heat washed over her, nearly suffocating. And yet, it didn't strike. The Zarkin roared angrily, their claws scraping the stone. One hurled a spear into the pit. The weapon clattered at Ilara's feet. She picked it up, holding it awkwardly. The alien crowd screamed for combat, their demand clear: kill or be killed. The dragon's gaze flickered to the spear, then back to her. For a fleeting moment, Ilara swore she saw something almost human in its eyes. Choice. The revelation. Acceptance. The battle that followed was not what the Zarkin expected. Ilara raised a spear, but instead of charging, she turned and hurled it away. The weapon clanged against the far wall, useless. The crowd roared in outrage, but the dragon tilted its head. Slowly, impossibly, it lowered its body until its snout touched the ground at her feet. The arena fell silent. Ilera reached out, trembling, and placed her hand against the scales. They were searing hot, yet not unbearable. Beneath them, she felt the pulse of life, ancient, powerful, but strangely lonely. The dragon's rumble deepened, not with rage, but with recognition. At that moment, Ilera understood. This wasn't just a beast. It had been bound, forced into ritual combat for centuries. A prisoner, as much as she was. And now, in her refusal to fight, she had shown it something the Zarkin never had: mercy. The dragon's voice was not spoken in words, but it thundered in her mind, a telepathic resonance so deep it shook her bones. You are different. You see me. Ilera gasped, clutching her chest. You can speak, not with sound, with thought. Few can hear. None have listened. Tears pricked her eyes. They want me to die, but I won't kill you. The dragon shifted, turning its massive head toward the crowd. The Zarkin had begun to hiss furiously, preparing weapons. They had seen enough. They would force the fight if the prisoners would not oblige. Then accept me, the dragon said in her mind, and I will accept you. What do you mean? She whispered. The dragon unfolded its wings, and a rush of hot wind nearly knocked her down. I have waited for one who would refuse the game. If you accept me as your bond, I will not destroy you. Together, we will destroy them. Ilera hesitated only a moment. Then, with the clarity of someone who had nothing left to lose, she placed both hands firmly on the dragon's snout and whispered, I accept. Climax, fire and freedom. The bond ignited. A surge of energy shot through her veins, so powerful she cried out in pain and ecstasy at once. Flames coiled around her hands without burning. Her mind linked to the dragons, and for a brief, dizzying moment, she was a dragon, soaring above worlds, tearing through fleets, chained in endless captivity. The red dragon reared up, roaring. But this time, the roar wasn't anger, it was freedom. The Zarkin scrambled as the dragon unleashed a torrent of fire across the arena walls, melting weapons and stone alike. Guards rushed in with energy cannons, but the flames curved, guided by Ilera's bond, striking with precision that shattered their defenses. Ilera climbed onto the dragon's back, clinging to the ridges of its scales. Heat enveloped her, but she was unharmed. She felt the dragon's power shield her, the bond strengthening with every heartbeat. Take us out of here, she shouted. The dragon leapt, wings smashing to the reinforced arena dome. The starship shuddered as alarms blared. Hull plating split open as the beast burst into the void, Ilera clinging tightly as the endless expanse of space stretched before them. Fighter ships launched in pursuit. The dragon twisted through the void, its wings propelling it as the space itself bent to its will. Fire streamed from its maw, burning through alien ships as though they were paper. Ilera felt each strike, each motion, as though her own body had merged with its. Together, they were unstoppable, ending the choice of paths. Hours later, they found refuge on the dark side of a shattered moon. The dragon landed, its body steaming, its chest heaving. Ilera slid off, her legs trembling. She looked up at the massive creature, awe and fear warring within her. Why me? She asked quietly. Why choose me? The dragon lowered its head. Because you did not fight. Because you saw me as more than a weapon. For centuries I have been bound, used by the Zarkin as their god of war. None ever denied the game. Until you. Ilera sank to her knees, exhausted. So what now? The dragon's eyes glowed, reflecting the faint light of distant stars. Now we decide. Together. I am no longer theirs. But I cannot be only mine. Will you walk this path, human? To ride with fire, to fight not as prey, but as equal. Ilera thought her colony, burned to ash, of her family, her friends lost to alien raids. She thought of her own small, fragile life, and the chance, impossible and terrifying, to become something greater. She met the dragon's gaze and whispered, Yes. The bond pulsed, stronger than before, and in that moment, Ilera ceased to be a prisoner. She became rider, partner and ally of the deadliest alien dragon in the galaxy. The Zarkin had created their own doom,